and good faith in negotiations. Governance standards are kept high. Therefore, we look forward to working with you on a sustainable and sustained basis.
When a Navy orders warships, it is never just buying steel. It is buying time, options, and leverage. In December 2025, the Philippines made exactly that kind of decision, quietly signing a contract that carries consequences far beyond shipyards and balance sheets. Manila confirmed an agreement with HD Hyundai Heavy Industries, facilitated through South Korea's Defense Acquisition Program Administration, for the construction of 2 next-generation 3,200-ton guided missile frigates to be delivered by 2029. Valued at roughly $587 million, the deal marks one of the most consequential surface combatant acquisitions in Philippine naval history. On paper, this looks like a continuation of modernization. In reality, it signals something sharper, a deliberate shift from presence-based patrolling toward credible, networked deterrence. For decades, the Philippine Navy operated with limited air defense, modest sensors, and minimal ability to fight as part of a wider maritime system. These new frigates are designed to change that equation, bringing modern combat management systems, advanced sensors, and missile integration that allow ships not just to sail, but to see, track, and fight in contested waters. The timing is not accidental. Pressure in the South China Sea and the West Philippine Sea has intensified steadily, moving from diplomatic disputes to persistent gray zone encounters involving coast guards, maritime militias, and increasingly capable naval forces. In this environment, hull count alone does not deter. Capability does. Defense analysts cited by the Defense Post describe the deal as a significant leap in the Philippine Navy's ability to conduct modern, networked naval operations. A careful choice of words that points to interoperability, sensor fusion, and combat credibility rather than raw firepower.
In every mission, the Navy proves that maritime strength is measured by the character, clarity of mission, and the commitment of those who serve. That same commitment to duty was clearly seen in the West Philippine Sea and in other maritime outposts.
For the Philippine Navy, these frigates represent more than replacement tonnage. They reflect a doctrinal evolution, from reactive defense to forward-looking maritime control within an alliance-friendly framework. South Korea's growing role as Manila's defense supplier also matters. It signals diversification away from single-source dependence and alignment with partners that combine advanced technology, political reliability, and competitive timelines. In short, this is not a headline-grabbing arms race moment. It is something more durable. The Philippines is methodically building a surface fleet designed for the kind of maritime environment it now faces. Crowded, contested, and constantly watched. These frigates will not change the balance overnight, but they quietly raise the cost of coercion, which is precisely what effective deterrence is supposed to do. Geography has always been the Philippines' greatest strategic asset and its most demanding responsibility. With more than 7,600 islands spread across vital sea lanes and an exclusive economic zone exceeding 2.2 million square kilometers, the country is, by definition, a maritime state. Its security, economy, and sovereignty do not begin at land borders, they begin at sea. This reality places the Philippine Navy at the center of national defense in a way few land-centric countries fully experience. That responsibility has only intensified in recent years. Tensions in the South China Sea, particularly around disputed reefs, shoals, and critical sea lanes, have shifted from episodic diplomatic disputes to constant, on-the-water pressure. Foreign Coast Guard patrols, maritime militia vessels, and gray zone operations now occur with increasing frequency, testing response times and endurance rather than triggering outright conflict. In this environment, absence is interpreted as acquiescence. Presence becomes policy. The economic dimension is just as stark. More than 90% of Philippine trade by volume moves through sea lines of communication. Any disruption, whether from coercion, miscalculation, or crisis, directly impacts food security, energy imports, and industrial supply chains. It is in this context that a senior naval official's remark, "Naval presence equals sovereignty," carries real weight. Modern surface combatants are not symbolic assets. They are the platforms through which maritime law, deterrence, and national claims are physically enforced. The decision to acquire additional next-generation frigates is therefore not an isolated procurement, but part of a broader doctrinal shift under Horizon 3 of the Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization Program, covering the 2023 to 2028 period. This phase marks a decisive transition away from decades of internal security focus toward credible external defense, a change driven as much by geography as by geopolitics. Horizon 3 places heavy emphasis on maritime and air domain awareness, integrated surveillance and sensor networks, and the ability to operate effectively alongside allies in a contested environment. These priorities reflect a recognition that modern defense is no longer platform-centric, but system-centric. Ships, aircraft, radars, and command networks must function as a single, fused architecture. Without capable surface combatants at the core of that system, even the best sensors and alliances lose operational meaning. The scale of commitment shows the seriousness of the shift. With a reported budget approaching 2 trillion pesos, roughly $35 to $36 billion, across all services, Horizon 3 represents the most ambitious modernization effort the AFP has ever undertaken. Crucially, this funding is not aimed at parity with larger powers, but at sufficiency, the ability to detect, deter, and deny coercion within Philippine maritime space. Seen through this lens, the new frigates are not merely additions to the fleet. They are enablers of a new defense posture, one in which the Philippines moves from reacting to maritime pressure towards shaping the operating environment itself. In a region where credibility is measured by what can be sustained at sea, that shift may prove as important as any single weapon system. The agreement itself is notable not for surprise, but for precision. Signed in December 2025, the contract brings together the government of the Philippines and South Korea's Defense Acquisition Program Administration under a framework that has become increasingly familiar in Manila's defense procurement. Foreign-assisted, tightly scoped, and focused on long-term capability rather than short-term optics. Valued at around $587 million, the deal covers the construction and delivery of 2 advanced guided missile frigates, with provisions extending beyond hull delivery. According to reporting by the Defense Post, the agreement also includes options for systems integration and post-delivery technical support. That detail matters. Modern warships do not reach full combat value at launch. They mature through software updates, sensor calibration, and crew integration. By baking support into the contract, Manila is signaling that it wants ships that remain operationally relevant well into the 2030s, not platforms that peak on commissioning day. The choice of builder reflects continuity rather than experimentation. The ships will be constructed by Hyundai Heavy Industries, one of the world's largest and most experienced naval shipbuilders. For the Philippine Navy, HHI is not a new partner, but a proven one, having already delivered the Jose Rizal-class frigates that form the backbone of today's modern surface fleet. The new vessels are widely expected to be based on the HDF 3200 design family, the same platform lineage used for the Miguel Malvar class. This is a deliberate decision. Rather than introducing an entirely new hull type, the Navy is doubling down on a familiar design ecosystem. That choice simplifies training, logistics, and lifecycle support, 3 areas that quietly determine whether fleets actually deliver combat power. As Naval News has observed, the HDF 3200 emphasizes modularity, allowing future upgrades in sensors, weapons, and combat systems without extensive structural modifications. In practical terms, this means the ships can evolve as threats change. Vertical launch systems, radar suites, and electronic warfare packages can be enhanced incrementally, preserving relevance without forcing costly midlife overhauls. For a Navy modernizing under budget constraints, that flexibility is strategic insurance. Beyond the Philippines, HHI's track record adds confidence. The company has delivered major surface combatants not only to South Korea's own Navy, but also to countries such as Peru and other regional partners, an indication that its designs are adaptable across different operational doctrines and threat environments. The timeline is aggressive but realistic. Construction is expected to begin in 2026, with completion and delivery targeted by 2029. This schedule aligns closely with the Philippine Navy's broader fleet expansion roadmap heading into the early 2030s, ensuring that new platforms arrive as doctrine, training, and support infrastructure mature in parallel. Equally important, the delivery window avoids the trap of capability gaps. By synchronizing these frigates with ongoing modernization under Rehorizon 3, the Navy reduces the risk of operating a mixed fleet where new ships arrive faster than the systems and personnel needed to support them. In effect, this is procurement paced to absorption capacity, not political calendars. The contract details reveal a pattern: disciplined acquisition, trusted partners, and designs built for evolution rather than display. In a maritime environment where relevance erodes quickly, that may be the most important feature of all.
At roughly 3,200 tons displacement, the new frigate sits squarely in the modern sweet spot for surface combatants. Large enough to carry credible sensors and weapons, yet agile enough for sustained patrols and multi-mission tasking. Designed as true multi-role guided missile frigates, they are expected to perform across the full spectrum of naval warfare: anti-air, anti-surface, and anti-submarine operations. This places them in the same operational class as frontline frigates operated by regional navies such as South Korea, Indonesia, and Malaysia. A meaningful benchmark for a fleet that, until recently, operated well below that tier. What this tonnage really buys is endurance and flexibility.
These ships are not optimized for a single mission or a single threat. They are built to stay at sea longer, operate farther from shore, and remain combat relevant in crowded, contested waters. For the Philippine Navy, that translates into fewer gaps in coverage and a stronger ability to maintain presence without burning out platforms or crews. While final specifications will only be confirmed once officially released, reporting by Naval News and analysis of similar configurations offer a clear picture of the likely combat package. At the core is a vertical launch system, enabling the deployment of surface-to-air missiles for area and point defense, an essential capability in an era of proliferating drones, aircraft, and anti-ship missiles. This alone marks a qualitative leap from earlier generations of Philippine surface combatants.
Anti-ship warfare is expected to be handled by modern missiles, such as South Korea's Sea Star or an equivalent system, providing credible standoff strike capability against hostile surface vessels. Close-in defense would be layered through a close-in weapon system, potentially the Turkish Gökdeniz, offering last-ditch protection against incoming missiles and asymmetric threats. A 76mm main gun provides versatility for surface engagements, warning shots, and naval gunfire support, while torpedo launchers enable active participation in anti-submarine warfare, an increasingly relevant mission as undersea activity rises in regional waters. Equally important is what ties all of this together: advanced AESA radar capable of tracking multiple air and surface targets simultaneously. In modern naval combat, detection and tracking often matter more than the missile itself. These sensors allow the ship to see first, decide faster, and engage at longer ranges, advantages that define survivability in contested environments. Hardware, however, is only half the story. Recent defense contracts point to the Philippines' growing reliance on Hanwha systems for combat management systems, sensor weapon integration, and secure data link connectivity. This reflects a deliberate move toward network-centric warfare, where ships operate not as isolated units, but as nodes in a wider maritime and air defense network. According to reporting by the Korea Times, these systems are designed to allow real-time data sharing between warships, maritime patrol aircraft, coastal radar stations, and allied forces. In practice, that means a frigate does not need to detect every threat itself. It can receive targeting data from an aircraft overhead, cue its sensors from shore-based radar, or pass tracks to allied ships operating nearby. This multiplies effectiveness without multiplying holes. For the Philippine Navy, this integration is transformative. It aligns seamlessly with alliance interoperability goals and reinforces the shift from platform-centric defense to system-centric deterrence. The frigates become not just shooters, but information hubs, critical in a maritime environment where awareness, coordination, and speed of decision increasingly determine outcomes. These technical and operational features explain why the new ships matter far beyond their number. They represent a Navy learning to fight as part of a network,
not just to patrol with flags raised. In today's maritime security environment, that distinction is decisive. The addition of 2 next-generation frigates materially changes how the Philippines can operate at sea, not by numbers alone, but by credibility. With modern sensors, missiles, and networked combat systems, these ships expand patrol coverage across the country's vast, exclusive economic zone, enable safer and more reliable escort missions for both naval and commercial traffic, and raise the deterrent threshold against coercive behavior. As the Defense Post aptly notes, modern frigates function as both symbols and instruments of sovereignty. In practice, that means presence backed by capability, where visibility at sea is paired with the means to act. Strategically, the acquisition sends a clear signal that Manila intends to respond to maritime pressure with sustained capability rather than episodic presence. It also deepens defense ties with South Korea, now firmly established as one of Asia's leading arms suppliers, valued for combining advanced technology with predictable delivery and lifecycle support. Region-wide, the deal fits a broader pattern. Southeast Asian navies are modernizing in parallel, investing in platforms that emphasize sensors, missiles, and interoperability to manage a more crowded and contested maritime environment. These new hulls are not standalone assets. They are designed to integrate with existing platforms such as BRP Miguel Malvar and BRP Diego Silang. Together, they form the core of the Philippine Navy's future surface combatant fleet, standardized around compatible systems, shared training pipelines, and scalable upgrades.
This coherence matters.
Fleets deliver enduring power when ships, sensors, and crews evolve as a system, rather than as one-off procurements. The relationship with South Korea extends well beyond shipbuilding. It encompasses combat systems integration, secure data link technologies, and training and technical assistance, elements that determine whether advanced platforms achieve their intended effect. Over the past decade, South Korea has emerged as one of the Philippines' top 3 defense suppliers, a reflection of trust built through delivery performance, technology transfer, and sustainment support. Across Southeast Asia, procurement choices are converging. Navies increasingly favor South Korean and Japanese designs for their balance of cost, capability, and upgrade potential. The emphasis is on combat-ready platforms that can be modernized incrementally, preserving relevance over decades without prohibitive midlife refits. The Philippine decision aligns squarely with this trend.
High upfront costs demand sustained political and fiscal commitment over multiple administrations. Moreover, life cycle expenses, maintenance, upgrades, and spares often exceed acquisition costs over time. Success depends on budgeting for ownership, not just purchase. Advanced combat systems require advanced crews. Training pipelines must expand, and logistics networks must mature to ensure spare parts, software updates, and depot-level maintenance keep pace with operational tempo. Without this foundation, capability at commissioning risks erosion in service. Naval modernization can heighten strategic competition. Managing escalation risks will require careful diplomacy, confidence-building measures, and continued emphasis on rules-based conduct at sea, even as deterrence is strengthened. The procurement of 2 next-generation 3,200-ton frigates from HD Hyundai Heavy Industries marks a significant milestone in the Philippines' defense modernization. By enhancing readiness, interoperability, and deterrence, the program strengthens Manila's strategic posture amid a rapidly evolving Indo-Pacific security environment. Challenges in funding, training, and regional diplomacy remain, but the direction is unmistakable. The Philippines is committing to safeguard its maritime interests with a credible, modern navy designed for persistence, partnership, and resilience. If you liked the video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe our channel for deep analysis of contemporary issues.
We will have submarines in our inventory because we are an archipelago. We need all types of assets that could protect the archipelago, and submarines are one of them.
The Philippines is entering a transformative phase in its national defense strategy as it negotiates its first ever submarine acquisition, a historic move decades in the making. For an archipelagic nation with over 7,600 islands and a 2.2 million square kilometer maritime domain, the absence of a submarine fleet has long been considered a critical strategic vulnerability. This gap has left the country with limited capacity to monitor, deter, or respond to incursions in its vast exclusive economic zone, EEZ.
particularly in the contested waters of the West Philippine Sea, WPS. The new submarine initiative aims to close that gap and strengthen maritime deterrence amid escalating regional tensions.
The push for submarines is a central feature of the revised Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP, Modernization Program, Horizon 3, 2023 to 2038, officially approved in January 2024. This phase focuses on advanced defense systems, including multi-domain capabilities such as undersea warfare, cyber defense, and long-range strike platforms. The strategic urgency of this acquisition reflects the growing pressure on the Philippines to safeguard its territorial integrity against China's increasingly aggressive activities, including blockades, ramming incidents, and harassment of Philippine ships in its own EEZ. At the forefront of this historic initiative is Hanwha Ocean, a South Korean shipbuilding giant and a leading contender to supply the Philippines' first submarine fleet. In early November 2025, during the APEC summit in Busan, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. held high-level discussions with Hanwha executives, showing the importance of the deal. Hanwha's proposal reportedly includes a turnkey package, not only for the delivery of submarines themselves, but also the establishment of a comprehensive undersea warfare ecosystem. This encompasses crew training, logistics and maintenance facilities, submarine-based construction, and transfer of technology to ensure long-term self-sufficiency. This marks more than just a defense purchase. It's the birth of the Philippines' submarine era. The negotiation represents a decisive step toward transforming the country's navy from a surface-only force into a modern, multi-domain maritime power, capable of both defending national sovereignty and contributing to the stability of the broader Indo-Pacific region.
The Philippines' long-anticipated submarine program has officially entered its most advanced stage yet, a landmark defense effort designed to transform the country's maritime posture. According to senior defense officials, the program carries an estimated budget of 80 billion to 110 billion Filipino pesos, approximately $1.3 billion to $1.9 billion, and aims to procure at least 2 modern diesel-electric submarines. This acquisition represents the centerpiece of the AFP Modernization Program's Horizon 3 phase, a strategic blueprint that prioritizes undersea warfare as essential to achieving credible deterrence in the West Philippine Sea. Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP, Chief of Staff General Romeo Bronner Jr., has described the initiative as both an aspiration and a necessity. It's a dream for us to get at least 2 submarines. We are an archipelago, so we need this kind of capability because it's really difficult to defend the entire archipelago without submarines, he said in an interview earlier this year.
Wala pang specifics yun, but we are considering that we will have submarines in our inventory in the future, because we are an archipelago. We need really all types of assets that could protect the archipelago, and submarines are one of them.
His statement shows the operational importance of stealthy undersea capabilities, platforms that can gather intelligence, track hostile fleets, and provide deterrence without being easily detected. For a country facing repeated incursions in its exclusive economic zone, the addition of submarines would fundamentally change how the AFP manages surveillance and defense operations across its vast maritime space.
Currently, several major international shipbuilders are competing for the contract,
with each offering distinct technologies, financing models, and logistical advantages. Hanwha Ocean, South Korea, has emerged as a frontrunner, proposing the KSS-3PN, a customized version of its highly advanced KSS-3 class submarine. This platform features air-independent propulsion, AIP, technology, long-range endurance, and modern combat systems, making it a suitable choice for extended operations across the South China Sea. Hanwha's bid also includes a comprehensive turnkey package, covering training, maintenance infrastructure, and technology transfer to enable local sustainment of the fleet. However, Hanwha faces tough competition from other global defense leaders. Naval Group, France, has offered its Scorpene-class submarines, renowned for their operational success with navies such as those of India, Malaysia, and Brazil.
These vessels are known for their reliability, agility,
and ease of maintenance, qualities that could appeal to a country acquiring submarines for the first time. Meanwhile, Navantia, Spain, has entered the competition with its S-80+, S-80PN submarine, notable for its new air-independent propulsion system and extended operational endurance. Additionally, Fincantieri, Italy, and ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems, TKMS, Germany, have jointly proposed the U-212 Near Future Submarine, NFS, one of Europe's most modern platforms, which integrates advanced stealth features and long-endurance underwater capabilities. Each of these bids represents not only a different technological pathway, but also a distinct strategic alignment. Choosing between European and South Korean suppliers will shape Manila's long-term defense partnerships and influence the degree of technology transfer and industrial cooperation available to the Philippines.
The submarine acquisition program is both a practical defense project and a strategic crossroads.
It's not simply about acquiring hardware. It's about defining how the Philippines intends to project power, secure its maritime borders, and engage with its defense partners in an increasingly contested Indo-Pacific environment.
Hanwha Ocean's proposal to the Philippines represents a comprehensive and forward-looking plan, not merely a sale of submarines, but the establishment of a complete undersea warfare ecosystem that would permanently elevate the country's naval capabilities. At the center of this offer is the KSS-3PN, a customized variant of South Korea's Dosan An-Chang-ho class Batch 2 submarines. Regarded among the most advanced conventional submarines in the world. Designed specifically for the Philippine Navy, this platform integrates cutting-edge sonar, navigation, and combat systems that allow it to perform intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance (ISR) missions, as well as anti-surface and anti-submarine warfare, all while remaining undetected in contested waters like the West Philippine Sea. One of the submarine's defining features is its lithium-ion battery propulsion system,
a technological upgrade that places it ahead of traditional diesel-electric designs. This innovation enables the submarine to stay submerged for extended periods, operate more quietly, and recharge faster than those using lead-acid batteries or older air-independent propulsion (AIP) systems. The result is superior stealth and endurance, two qualities essential for effective deterrence and sustained patrols in vast maritime territories. With a submerged displacement of approximately 3,500 to 4,000 tons, the KSS-3PN belongs to the largest and most capable category of non-nuclear submarines, offering both endurance and combat readiness suited for the Philippines' strategic needs.
Beyond the submarine itself, Hanwha Ocean's bid is structured as a turnkey defense partnership.
The proposal includes assistance in building a dedicated submarine base and a maintenance, repair, and overhaul (MRO) facility, ensuring that the Philippines can independently service and sustain its new fleet. The company also pledged comprehensive training programs for Filipino naval personnel, using advanced simulators and real-world operational instruction to develop a new generation of local submariners and technical experts. Moreover, Hanwha's approach aligns with the government's Self-Reliant Defense Posture (SRDP) program by committing to technology transfer and collaboration with local industries, allowing the Philippines to build indigenous capacity in undersea warfare support systems and logistics.
Hanwha's proposal also draws strength from the broader Philippines-South Korea defense relationship,
which has steadily expanded over the past decade. South Korea previously supplied the FA-50 light combat aircraft, now the backbone of the Philippine Air Force, as well as the Jose Rizal-class frigates, key surface assets in the Philippine Navy. These successful projects have built mutual confidence, interoperability, and a foundation of trust between the two countries' defense establishments. Hanwha Ocean's proposal positions South Korea not just as a supplier, but as a strategic partner in the Philippines' maritime transformation. By combining advanced submarine technology, infrastructure development, and human capital training, the KSS-3PN program could usher in a new era for the Philippine Navy, one where the country transitions from a surface-only force to a credible undersea power capable of protecting its sovereignty and maintaining stability across the Indo-Pacific.
The Philippines' move to negotiate a submarine deal with South Korea's Hanwha Ocean carries far-reaching strategic implications for its defense posture, regional security role, and geopolitical partnerships.
This initiative is not merely about acquiring a new platform. It signifies a major evolution in how the Philippines intends to defend its archipelagic territory, strengthen deterrence, and balance growing Chinese assertiveness in the West Philippine Sea, WPS. At the core of this transformation lies the deterrence and maritime security dimension. Submarines are among the most potent instruments of defense for an archipelagic nation. Their ability to operate silently and remain undetected makes them uniquely suited for persistent surveillance, intelligence gathering, and deterrence operations.
The Philippines, with a maritime jurisdiction spanning more than 2.2 million square kilometers, faces immense challenges in monitoring its waters. By deploying submarines, the country can fill this critical gap, enabling it to track foreign incursions, shadow hostile vessels, and maintain a continuous presence in areas like the WPS without direct confrontation. These undersea assets will be crucial for enforcing the Comprehensive Archipelagic Defense Concept, CADC, the AFP's framework for safeguarding all territories and maritime zones under Philippine sovereignty. Submarines, therefore, represent not just a new military capability, but the cornerstone of a self-reliant, multi-domain defense strategy that integrates surface, air, and undersea elements. From a geopolitical standpoint, this potential agreement shows a deepening of the Manila-Seoul Defense Alliance, positioning South Korea as one of the Philippines' most trusted strategic partners. Seoul's Hanwha Ocean is not merely a supplier. It symbolizes South Korea's role as a maritime power and defense innovator that shares the Philippines' commitment to regional peace and stability. By anchoring its defense modernization to a partner like South Korea, the Philippines is diversifying its security dependencies beyond its traditional ally, the United States, while strengthening the Indo-Pacific network of like-minded democracies. As noted by the Philippine news agency, PNA, the move is seen as vital to strengthening the country's defense posture amid escalating maritime tensions. This partnership also situates the Philippines more firmly within the region's evolving security architecture, complementing its ties with the US, Japan, and Australia under frameworks such as AUKUS and the Quad, while giving it new strategic depth through bilateral cooperation with a regional industrial power.
However, the decision on which submarine to accept remains highly competitive and multifaceted. The final choice will depend on a mix of strategic, financial, and industrial considerations. Competing bidders, France's Naval Group, Scorpion class, Germany and Italy's TKMS, Fincantieri, U-212 NFS, and Spain's Navantia, S-80PN, are offering technologically advanced designs, each emphasizing different strengths. Yet the Philippine Navy's priorities extend beyond just acquiring hardware. They center on technology transfer, long-term affordability, and domestic capability building. Hanwha Ocean's proposal distinguishes itself in this regard, offering not just submarines, but a comprehensive package that includes the construction of a submarine base, establishment of a maintenance, repair, and overhaul (MRO) facility, and advanced training programs for Filipino sailors.
Moreover, Hanwha's readiness to subsidize or co-finance portions of the infrastructure and training dramatically reduces the financial barriers that have long delayed the Philippines' submarine ambitions. In strategic terms, this approach aligns with the Philippines' self-reliant defense posture, SRDP, an initiative to foster local defense production and reduce foreign dependency. By integrating South Korean expertise with Philippine infrastructure and manpower, the partnership could mark a turning point in the nation's defense industrialization. It would allow the Philippines not only to operate submarines, but eventually to sustain, upgrade, and innovate its own undersea systems. The submarine acquisition is a symbol of strategic maturity.
It signals that the Philippines is no longer content with reactive defense policies, and is instead building a credible deterrent force capable of shaping outcomes in its own maritime domain. Should the Hanwha deal proceed, it will redefine the country's defense landscape, from a limited coastal force to a modern, multi-dimensional navy, while solidifying South Korea's position as a pivotal partner in maintaining a stable, rules-based Indo-Pacific order.
The planned acquisition of the Philippines' first submarine fleet stands as a historic milestone in the evolution of the nation's defense capabilities.
For decades, the Philippine Navy has operated as a surface-only force, relying on patrol ships, aircraft, and allied support to monitor and secure its vast maritime domain. The introduction of a submarine capability will change that dynamic entirely. transforming the Philippines into a multi-domain deterrent power capable of defending its sovereignty both above and beneath the waves. This leap will not only enhance the country's ability to safeguard its territorial waters and exclusive economic zone, but also symbolize its growing resolve to take an active role in ensuring stability and security across the Indo-Pacific region.
The recent meeting between President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Hanwha Ocean executives marks the most advanced phase of the Philippines' submarine acquisition effort to date, moving the plan from aspiration to actionable strategy. With the Horizon 3 modernization program serving as its foundation, the decision on which submarine platform to adopt is expected to come soon. Once finalized, the deal will signify more than just a defense purchase. It will represent a strategic transformation that strengthens alliances, builds local capacity, and cements the Philippines' place among the region's modern maritime powers. Looking ahead, the submarine project is poised to become a cornerstone of national defense and regional deterrence, ensuring that the country can protect its seas with both confidence and credibility in the years to come. If you like the video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe our channel for deep analysis of contemporary issues.
A nation's strength lies not just in its army, but in the control of its seas. This paraphrase of Alfred Thayer Mahan, the great naval strategist, rings with profound relevance in today's Indo-Pacific geopolitical theater. In the post-colonial tides of the 20th century, Southeast Asia emerged from the shadows of empires, only to confront new maritime threats in the 21st. Disputed waters, piracy, and the growing specter of strategic rivalry in the South China Sea. The Philippines, an archipelago of over 7,600 islands, sits at the heart of these shifting currents, yet for decades has struggled with an aging navy and limited maritime defense capacity. Today, the Philippines is no longer alone in navigating these troubled waters. Enter South Korea, an economic and defense powerhouse whose transformation from war-torn nation to global shipbuilding leader tells a story the Philippines now seeks to emulate. As tensions ripple across the Indo-Pacific, South Korea emerges not just as a shipbuilder, but as a strategic partner, transferring modern naval assets, integrating cutting-edge systems, and offering a blueprint for maritime resilience. In this evolving regional order, the partnership between South Korea and the Philippines is more than transactional. It is transformational. It is this cooperation, rooted in shared democratic values and regional security goals, that forms the cornerstone of Manila's naval modernization and maritime defense strategy. When BRP Jose Rizal, FF-150, sliced through Philippine waters for the first time in 2020, it wasn't just a ship entering service, it was a symbol of rebirth. Built by Hyundai Heavy Industries, this 2,600-ton warship marked the dawn of a modern Philippine Navy. With its arsenal of SSM-700K Hyosung anti-ship missiles, a 76mm Oto Malara super rapid gun, torpedoes, and close-in weapon systems, CIWS, the Jose Rizal-class frigates brought multi-domain lethality to a fleet once limited to World War II-era relics. These ships are more than hull and steel, said a senior Philippine Navy official during the commissioning ceremony. They are the embodiment of our will to defend our waters and stand tall in the region. The frigate's versatility in anti-submarine warfare, ASW, anti-surface warfare, ASUW, and anti-air warfare, AAW operations, has redefined the Navy's ability to conduct long-range patrols and power projection, especially in contested areas of the West Philippine Sea.
The commissioning of BRP Antonio Luna FF151 in 2022 reinforced this transformation, signaling that the Philippine Navy is no longer content with a defensive posture. It is building a credible deterrent force. In 2019, a storied South Korean warship took on a new identity. Formerly ROKS Cheongju, a Pohang-class corvette with decades of service in the Korean Peninsula, was reborn as BRP Conrado Yap, PS-39, under the Philippine flag. Armed with sonar systems, 76mm and 40mm naval guns, torpedoes, and depth charges, BRP Conrado Yap was tailor-made for coastal defense and anti-submarine warfare, capabilities urgently needed amid submarine activity in the South China Sea. What was once a hand-me-down has become a catalyst, said a defense analyst. This isn't charity, it's strategic alignment. Looking beyond heavy-hitting frigates and coastal corvettes, the Philippines is also investing in agility and persistence. In 2022, a landmark deal was signed with Hyundai Heavy Industries for the construction of up to 6 2,400-ton offshore patrol vessels OPVs. These ships are designed not for battle, but for presence, for deterrence, for sovereignty enforcement. We need ships that can stay at sea, monitor our EEZ, conduct search and rescue, and support law enforcement. That's what these OPVs are for, said a Philippine Coast Guard official. Equipped with a 76mm gun, rigid-hulled inflatable boats, RHIBs, a helideck, and modular mission spaces, these vessels represent a critical upgrade in maritime domain awareness. From anti-smuggling operations to humanitarian assistance during typhoons, OPVs provide the soft power complement to the Navy's harder assets. A South Korean defense executive involved in the project summed it up best. These ships are not just assets, they're guardians of peace. The modernization of a Navy doesn't stop at hulls, engines, and missiles. It runs deeper, into the veins of digital systems and the minds of its sailors. South Korea understands this well. Its support to the Philippine Navy has gone far beyond delivering ships. It's about building an ecosystem of knowledge, command, and capability. In the nerve center of every modern warship lies its Combat Management System, CMS, the brain that sees, thinks, and directs action. Thanks to South Korean defense tech firms like Hanwha Systems and Elig Nex 1, the Philippine Navy now fields ships with integrated CMS platforms that can track, assess, and respond to multiple threats in real time. These systems are force multipliers, said a Philippine Navy officer aboard BRP Antonio Luna. Before, we relied on legacy sensors and outdated protocols. Now, we operate with real-time data fusion, advanced sonar, electronic warfare suites, and radar systems that talk to each other and to our allies. The Korean-built sensors, sonar arrays, and electronic tracking systems now embedded in the Navy's frontline assets allow for coordinated responses and enhanced interoperability with regional partners such as the US, Japan, and Australia. In an age of network-centric warfare, these systems are no longer luxuries. They are lifelines. But what use is advanced technology without the skill to wield it? Recognizing this, South Korea has taken a boots-on-deck approach to training Filipino sailors, officers, and technicians. Instructors from the Republic of Korea Navy and Korean defense companies have led intensive programs in gunnery, sonar operation, propulsion systems maintenance, and digital warfare navigation. Our doctrine has evolved, admitted a senior Philippine Navy training director. The Koreans didn't just hand us a manual and walk away. They've stood beside us on the bridge, in the engine room, even during live-fire drills. This partnership is redefining how Filipino sailors think about warfare, not as isolated maneuvers, but as coordinated, high-tech operations. One officer put it best: the training provided by our South Korean counterparts has been invaluable in operating these advanced systems. They've accelerated our transformation tenfold. Hardware is only as powerful as the people behind it. Recognizing this, South Korea has invested deeply in the human side of naval capability. From bridge operations to damage control, propulsion systems to weapons handling, South Korean trainers have stood shoulder to shoulder with Filipino sailors in a comprehensive capacity-building campaign. The training provided by our South Korean counterparts has been invaluable in operating these advanced systems, a Philippine Navy officer remarked. They didn't just train us, they transformed the way we think about naval warfare. Doctrine has evolved alongside technology. Filipino crews are now familiar with combat protocols that mirror modern Korean naval standards, ensuring both readiness and interoperability in joint exercises. What used to be a reactive force is becoming a thinking, agile, and adaptive Navy. The horizon of this partnership stretches into the deep. Talks are already underway for the potential acquisition of the KSS-2 diesel-electric submarines, a move that would mark the Philippines' historic entry into undersea warfare. But the vision doesn't stop there. Imagine a future where our submarines are built or serviced here in Subic or Cavite with Korean support, mused a Department of National Defense official. That's not a dream. That's strategic independence. Beyond submarines, both nations are exploring joint shipbuilding, shared logistics hubs, and partnerships in cyber defense and naval simulation. This isn't just modernization, it's maritime self-sufficiency through partnership. The implications of the South Korea-Philippines naval partnership ripple far beyond shipyards and training academies. They reach into the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific, the architecture of regional security, and the very core of bilateral diplomacy. With new ships, advanced systems, and trained personnel, the Philippine Navy is evolving from a coastal force into a credible maritime deterrent. These platforms offer operational flexibility in patrolling contested waters, quick response capabilities against transnational threats, and the endurance needed for extended deployments in the West Philippine Sea. In the words of one naval strategist, these assets don't just float, they signal. They tell the world the Philippines is serious about defending its waters. A more capable Philippine Navy enhances not just national security, but regional resilience. Its growing presence contributes to multilateral patrols, joint drills, and humanitarian missions, strengthening ASEAN cooperation and bolstering maritime rule of law. By investing in the Philippines' naval growth, South Korea is helping balance power in the South China Sea, while encouraging other Southeast Asian nations to follow suit. This partnership becomes a force multiplier for peace and stability in one of the world's most contested waterways. At its core, this naval partnership reflects a broader alignment of values, democracy, open trade, regional peace, and freedom of navigation. Defense ties have become a cornerstone of the Philippines-South Korea strategic relationship, reinforcing economic interdependence, trust, and long-term military interoperability. Our cooperation at sea mirrors our shared vision for a free and open Indo-Pacific, noted a South Korean ambassador. We are not just allies, we are builders of stability. As 2025 unfolds, the Philippines' Naval Modernization Program, in partnership with South Korea, is reaching new heights. From ongoing ship deliveries to the latest defense agreements, the trajectory of growth is poised to strengthen the Philippines' maritime defense and regional security posture. Here's a closer look at the key developments and milestones. The Philippine Navy is on the cusp of further expanding its modern fleet. By early 2025, there is an expectation of the commissioning of a third Jose Rizal-class frigate, or the delivery of additional offshore patrol vessels, OPVs, reinforcing its operational reach and flexibility. The expansion of our fleet is moving ahead of schedule, remarked a senior officer from the Philippine Navy. These ships are not just additions. They are the future of our defense strategy. Simultaneously, the construction and sea trials of the Pohang-class corvettes and the OPVs continue at a steady pace. The steady progress underscores the growing capabilities of the Philippine Navy to safeguard its waters and enhance its presence in the Indo-Pacific. The strength of the South Korea-Philippines defense partnership is also reflected in the new memoranda of understanding MOUs that are being forged in early 2025. These agreements are focused on submarine technology and logistics support, which could signal the Philippines' transition into more advanced underwater warfare capabilities. Submarine acquisition is an essential part of our future defense posture, noted a Department of National Defense official. The agreement with South Korea represents a significant leap toward achieving strategic independence in undersea operations. Moreover, negotiations for additional ship transfers
including potential radar and missile system integrations, are already in progress, promising to elevate the Philippine Navy's technological edge. This collaborative effort seeks to ensure the continuous improvement of naval defense systems to counter emerging threats in the region. The year 2025 also marks the continuation of joint naval exercises designed to further deepen operational interoperability between the Philippines and South Korea. Exercise Pagkakaisa, a key joint drill, focuses on anti-submarine warfare, ASU, search and rescue, TSAR operations, and coordinated maritime patrols, allowing both forces to sharpen their combat readiness and tactical cooperation. Additionally, onboard training missions and staff exchanges between the two navies have deepened the collaboration. These engagements foster a better understanding of each other's naval doctrines, technologies, and tactics, which is vital in ensuring seamless operations and joint missions. The training and exchanges have been transformative for our forces, said a Philippine Navy officer. We are not only learning new techniques, we are becoming better partners, more capable of addressing shared security challenges. These ongoing developments in 2025 highlight a period of growth, refinement, and strategic alignment in the South Korea-Philippines naval partnership. With each ship commissioned and each defense agreement signed, the Philippines is solidifying its position as a key maritime power in Southeast Asia, with South Korea as a trusted partner in building a modern and capable naval force. The transformation of the Philippine Navy into a modern, capable maritime force has been significantly driven by South Korea's support. Through the delivery of Jose Rizal-class frigates, Pohang-class corvettes, and offshore patrol vessels, along with advanced systems integration and training, South Korea has enhanced the Navy's ability to protect its sovereignty and project power within its EEZ and beyond. As a result, the Philippines now boasts improved operational efficiency, situational awareness, and interoperability with allies. The Philippine Navy today is a much more capable force, noted a senior officer. We are securing our place as a responsible maritime power in the Indo-Pacific. Looking ahead, discussions on acquiring KSS-2 submarines and expanding joint exercises signal further growth. This partnership strengthens the Philippines' maritime defense and contributes to regional stability, fostering a Korea and the Philippines are building a resilient and capable naval force, committed to safeguarding national interests and promoting regional security. Thank you for tuning into our channel. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis of global issues.
Fighter jets and warships have simulated strikes on Taiwan.
对日方近期的军事安全动向严重关切。
China has summoned the Japanese ambassador over comments made by his prime minister on Taiwan.
If there is a confrontation over Taiwan between China and the United States, there is no way that the Philippines can stay out of it, simply because of our physical geographic location.
What if China tried to cut off Taiwan's sea lanes tomorrow, or even launched a full-scale invasion? Could Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines realistically stop Beijing? Or would they be dragged into a high-stakes showdown with global consequences? The Taiwan Strait has become a powder keg. China is rapidly modernizing its navy, missile forces, and gray zone tactics, while Tokyo, Seoul, and Manila quietly ramp up defenses, deepen alliances, and sharpen their military edge. History offers a chilling parallel. During the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, a small island became the center of the world's attention. where the US and USSR came dangerously close to war, showing how geography, alliances, and readiness can tip the balance between deterrence and disaster. Today, the Indo-Pacific faces a similar test. Let's break down the geography, military capabilities, alliances, and operational realities to explore whether these three nations can impose enough cost to deter China, or if the region is on the brink of a crisis that could spiral far beyond Taiwan. Taiwan sits at the center of regional tension because it's a thriving democracy, a global chip hub, and a gateway to vital sea lanes. All reasons China sees reunification or coercion as essential.
也是台湾光复80周年。日方若不深刻汲取历史教训，胆敢铤而走险，甚至武力介入台海局势，必将在中国人民解放军的铜墙铁壁面前碰得头破血流，付出惨痛代价。
And with Beijing ramping up naval patrols, air sorties, and gray zone pressure throughout 2024-25, the possibility of a real crisis has become far more believable. What if China suddenly tried to blockade Taiwan, or even launch a full-scale invasion? Could anyone stop it? How would Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines respond if the strait became a flashpoint overnight? Let's break down the scenarios that could push the region to the brink of war. The most likely near-term scenario is a coercive blockade, where China uses its Navy, Coast Guard, and maritime militia to tighten an air-sea cordon around Taiwan without launching a full invasion. In response, Japan and the Philippines would move to protect key sea routes. South Korea might support from the sidelines with submarines and intelligence, and the US would ramp up surveillance and logistics. This would create a tense standoff marked by escorted supply runs, rising diplomatic pressure, and major economic disruptions, but still stop short of an all-out attack. In a second scenario, China carries out limited missile strikes on Taiwan's critical infrastructure, such as ports and radar sites, while grabbing nearby maritime features. Japan would likely step in with missile defense and might even intercept or answer attacks, while South Korea contributes intelligence and undersea deterrence. The Philippines would support through basing access and enhanced monitoring. This kind of move could act as a sharp warning shot or a carefully staged step toward more serious coercion.
Do not be content with securing just the northern hemisphere up to Mavulis Island. Start planning for actions in case there is an invasion of Taiwan.
In the most extreme scenario, China launches a full-scale invasion of Taiwan, combining amphibious landings with heavy air, sea, and missile support. Japan would project its naval and missile forces forward. South Korea would send submarines and maritime strike assets. And the Philippines would serve as a crucial rear area hub for logistics, intelligence, and base access. This is the highest risk scenario, one that would almost certainly pull in US forces, widen the conflict, and put the strength of regional alliances to the ultimate test. South Korea is rapidly emerging as a major defense heavyweight, driven by fast industrial growth and increasingly ambitious naval plans. Its armed forces are large, well-funded, and backed by a defense budget that continues to climb sharply. Between 2021 and 2025, Seoul invested over $200 billion into defense, with more increases planned for 2025-26. This money is fueling advanced shipbuilding programs, submarine expansion, including long-term interest in nuclear propulsion, and a wider modernization push aimed at strengthening South Korea's role in regional security. A key part of this buildup is the country's growing capability mix: modern surface combatants, a powerful submarine fleet, high-end missile and air defense systems, and sophisticated electronic warfare tools. South Korea's defense industry, led by giants like Hanwha and Hyundai, is capable of producing world-class platforms quickly and at scale, making Seoul a major contributor to any long-term regional denial strategy. Its KSS-3 Jangyeongsil-class submarines, equipped with vertical launch systems and advanced batteries, stand out as some of the most capable conventional submarines in Asia. Even so, South Korea faces practical limitations. It sits north of Taiwan, far from the front line compared to Japan or the Philippines, and it must always balance its commitments with the ongoing threat from North Korea. Sudden demands to surge forces southward during a Taiwan crisis could strain its logistics and industrial capacity. Still, its growing undersea force, advanced missiles, and cutting-edge shipbuilding gives Seoul strategic depth that makes it an essential, if sometimes underappreciated, part of the wider Indo-Pacific security architecture. By 2025, South Korea is also pushing hard into AI, unmanned systems, and next-generation military technologies. This shift aims to transform its armed forces into a more agile, smart force, enhancing everything from missile defense to multi-domain operations. With its rising budget, modern platforms, and booming defense industry, South Korea is becoming one of the most capable and technologically sophisticated players in the region, far more central to a potential Taiwan contingency than many analysts realize. Japan plays a central role in any Taiwan scenario because of its world-class navy, expanding defense budget, and prime geography just north of Taiwan. Its position near crucial choke points in the East China Sea gives Japan the natural ability to project surveillance, naval power, and reinforcement missions into the region. This is why analysts often call Japan the northern anchor of Indo-Pacific defense planning. With growing investments in unmanned systems, submarines, and long-range surveillance, Japan is steadily strengthening that role. Tokyo's modernization drive has only accelerated. In 2025, Japan approved a record 8.7 trillion yen defense budget to boost strike capability and missile defense, most notably by deploying US-made Tomahawk cruise missiles. Its navy is also expanding with next-generation Aegis-equipped destroyers, signaling a shift from defensive posture to a more forward, proactive presence. This allows Japan to sustain pressure on Chinese forces, defend key maritime corridors, and support allied operations across the region. Japan's high-end military ecosystem reinforces this momentum. It is integrating space-based sensors, unmanned platforms, and its maritime forces into a powerful ISR network for early warning and precision targeting. The shift away from the canceled Aegis Ashore program towards sea-based missile defense highlights Tokyo's focus on flexibility and mobility. Altogether, Japan has the capability to deny China control of vital waters, protect supply routes, and bolster allied logistics, all while expanding its defense industrial base. The Philippines sits in one of the most important locations in the entire Indo-Pacific, the southern gateway to Taiwan. Controlling the Luzon Strait, Manila's geography gives it enormous influence over any future blockade, resupply mission, or allied reinforcement effort. This makes the Philippines a natural staging point for logistics, surveillance, and forward operations in a Taiwan crisis, something no other regional partner can replicate. In recent years, the Philippines has taken real steps to strengthen its defense posture through the revised AFP Modernization Act. Its Navy and Air Force are gradually improving with newer patrol vessels, upgraded radars, drones, and stronger maritime domain awareness. The country's alliance structure is also deepening. The Reciprocal Access Agreement, RAA, with Japan, along with expanded EDCA access for the U.S., allows allied forces to train, rotate, and operate from Philippine bases, turning the archipelago into a flexible strategic platform. Despite these gains, Manila still faces major limitations. It lacks deep strike capability, has minimal anti-submarine warfare assets, and remains vulnerable to Chinese blockade pressure. Its modernization timeline also trails far behind China's rapid military growth. Even so, the Philippines' geography, alliance commitments, and improving capabilities give it outsized strategic value. In any Taiwan contingency, it would serve as a crucial deterrent partner, a logistics hub, and a frontline state that helps legitimize regional allied action. U.S. support acts as a major force multiplier for Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines. With American rotational forces, EDCA basing access, and advanced ISR and strike assets boosting their collective deterrence. Close intelligence sharing, joint surveillance, and expanded multilateral exercises allow the allies to detect and challenge any Chinese blockade or power projection, tightening their ability to operate together in real-world contingencies. In recent years, the US, Japan, and the Philippines have built a much stronger security partnership. Exercises like Sama-Sama 2025 show how these countries are now training together in ways that prepare them for real-world crises. The new Reciprocal Access Agreement, RAA, between Japan and the Philippines makes this cooperation even more formal, giving both sides the ability to rotate forces, train together, and share logistics. With the US providing major support, the three countries are forming a united front that can push back against Chinese pressure. The region's security network goes beyond just these three countries. South Korea is strengthening its own military posture with its three-axis deterrence system, while partnerships among the Quad members and even NATO countries are slowly expanding into Asia. This wider cooperation matters because, in a crisis like a Chinese blockade of Taiwan, several countries, including Japan, Australia, the Philippines, and some European allies, could take part in a coordinated naval response.
We're always prepared for eventualities and what may or may not happen to ensure we're strongly postured. And working with our partners in the Philippines, I think that's what you're referring to mostly. We've got lots of options and lots of capabilities in the region, but ultimately we're not going to reveal precisely what we may or may not do.
Still, these alliances face real limits. Japan continues to debate its constitutional restrictions and how far it can go in collective defense. South Korea must balance its desire for more military independence with the need to stay closely aligned with the US. And the Philippines has to weigh the risks of escalation with China against its economic and political interests. The overall message is clear. The regional alliance system is growing stronger, but it needs consistent political commitment and trust to hold together in a crisis. China's most likely move against Taiwan would be a naval blockade, since Taiwan depends heavily on ships for food and energy. In that scenario, Japan to the north and the Philippines to the south become extremely important. With US surveillance aircraft and Philippine bases, they can help keep supply routes open. South Korea's submarines and missile systems would also make Chinese naval operations much riskier. Together, their combined presence would force China to pay a high price for trying to cut Taiwan off. All of this only works if the region stays connected through strong radar, missile defense, and logistics. Japan's Aegis systems, South Korea's advanced sensors, and the Philippines' coastal radars create a shared early warning network, boosted by US intelligence. But the alliance also needs reliable bases and supplies to keep going in a long conflict. Japan and the Philippines can offer key logistics hubs, yet those bases could come under attack and resupply missions might be contested. Strengthening submarine production, building more destroyers, and stockpiling fuel and munitions will be essential to actually sustain any defense of Taiwan. Even with Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines becoming stronger, China still holds big advantages. Its massive industrial base lets it build ships, missiles, and submarines far faster than any country in the region. China also uses gray zone tactics, like Coast Guard intimidation and maritime militia, to pressure neighbors without starting a full war. On top of that, its anti-access missile systems and expanding carrier fleet make it harder for other countries to intervene. In a long conflict, China's ability to replace losses quickly gives it a major edge. But the countries working to counter China have their own internal limits. Japan is upgrading rapidly, yet political debates and its pacifist constitution slow things down. South Korea wants to build a powerful, independent military, but it has to juggle costs, its alliance with the US, and the risk of angering China. The Philippines, meanwhile, has neither submarines nor long-range missiles, and still relies heavily on its allies to defend its bases and coastline during a Taiwan crisis. All of this means one thing: the entire regional defense network depends heavily on the United States. Without strong US military presence, industrial power, and political commitment, the deterrence strategy weakens fast. Keeping this system stable would require not just joint planning, but serious long-term investment and shared risk, something that's tough for any group of countries to maintain during a major crisis. Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines each bring different strengths to a Taiwan crisis, but they also face major limits compared to China. Japan and the Philippines sit on opposite sides of Taiwan, giving them key geographic positions to support resupply routes, while South Korea adds submarine power and industrial capacity, Together, they offer advanced systems like submarines, missile defenses, and surveillance, while the Philippines provides bases and regional access for allies. But China still holds big advantages in sheer numbers. More ships, more missiles, more carriers, and a much larger production capacity. If a crisis erupts, China could choose from several options. A limited blockade to choke Taiwan's supplies, targeted assaults on key islands or ports, or a full-scale invasion that would require overwhelming air and sea control. Each scenario carries its own risks, but China's growing military power makes all of them increasingly plausible.
In a Taiwan crisis, Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines would respond in ways that play to their strengths. Japan would raise readiness, deploy its Navy and Air Force to patrol the northern approaches, and increase surveillance while supporting allied operations, possibly easing rules on collective defense. South Korea would push more submarines and surveillance assets from the north, boost munitions production, and coordinate closely with the US. Though it must be careful about provoking China or North Korea. The Philippines would focus on providing bases, resupply corridors, and coastal monitoring, using its Navy and Coast Guard to contest gray zone activity and rally multilateral support. Together, they would form a layered deterrent. Japan and South Korea provide advanced combat power and sustainment. The Philippines gives geographic access and legitimacy. And the US remains the central enabler, with allies like Australia, the UK, and NATO partners likely providing diplomatic, economic, and limited military support. In the shadow of China's growing military might, Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines are no longer on the sidelines. Their geographic advantages, modernizing militaries, and alliance ties give them a credible role in deterring a Taiwan contingency. But deterrence will only hold if it's backed by real capabilities, continuous coordination, and political resolve. China still enjoys deep advantages in industrial capacity, missile stockpiles, and manpower. The alliance's challenge is to impose a cost structure that makes coercion or invasion unattractive. That means turning threats into deterrence through combined military strength, logistical readiness, and diplomatic unity. In essence, yes, they can deter, but only if they commit, invest, and coordinate like their very survival depends on it. And in an era where the balance of power is shifting, that commitment may very well be the difference between a cold standoff and a crisis uncontained. If you like the video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe our channel for deep analysis of contemporary issues.
Tensions between Tokyo and Beijing continue to simmer after Chinese military jets reportedly locked onto Japanese fighters near Okinawa.
A senior official from Japan's foreign ministry is in China to calm a diplomatic row between the two countries that has been brewing for weeks. It was sparked by the Japanese Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, when she said a Chinese attack on Taiwan could threaten Japanese survival.
Japan could deploy its self-defense forces if China invades Taiwan. That's according to Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi Sanae.
When Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi declared that a Chinese invasion of Taiwan would be an emergency for Japan, the Philippines, and South Korea and Japan will support the United States in the defense of Taiwan, she did more than restate a policy position. She crystallized a new strategic era in East Asia. Her statement cuts through decades of ambiguity and signals a historic shift, a Taiwan conflict. Takaichi's words carry weight because of who she is and the moment in which she speaks. Becoming Japan's prime minister in October 2025, she is known for a clear-eyed, hawkish approach to China and unwavering support for Taiwan's security. Building on Shinzo Abe's famous line, "A Taiwan emergency is a Japan emergency," she has taken the doctrine further, openly committing Japan to stand alongside the United States in a Taiwan contingency. Few Japanese leaders have spoken with such strategic clarity, and even fewer at a time when China is accelerating military pressure across the first island chain. Beijing's reaction made the significance unmistakable.
全国各族人民传承和弘扬伟大抗战精神，中华民族伟大复兴势不可挡。
Within hours of her comments, China unleashed a wave of diplomatic protests, state media attacks, and economic pressure targeting Japan, including propaganda campaigns invoking Okinawa and narratives portraying Japan as a regional destabilizer.
日方对自身在台湾问题上的立场一再遮遮掩掩、含糊其辞，对将台湾明确归还中国的开罗宣言、波茨坦公告、日本投降书避而不谈，对构成中日关系政治基础的4个政治文件避而不谈，对日本政府坚持一个中国原则的政治承诺避而不谈。
For all the noise, the message behind China's overreaction is simple. Beijing understands that any assault on Taiwan now risks triggering a multi-country emergency, pulling Japan, the US, and potentially other allies into a fast-escalating conflict. Takaichi's doctrine reshapes the strategic equation, and China knows it.
The thesis is clear. A Chinese invasion of Taiwan would not stop at Taiwan.
Japan would face an existential threat and an alliance-defining moment. The Philippines would be exposed on its northern frontier, with EDCA bases and sea lanes turning into immediate targets. South Korea would confront a dual crisis: Chinese aggression to the south and a potential North Korean provocation fueled by chaos. Takaichi is not issuing a theoretical warning. She is articulating a new security reality that the Indo-Pacific must now confront.
一貫しております。その上で、日中間に懸案と課題があるからこそ。
Since there are issues and challenges between Japan and China, I believe we should reduce them and increase understanding and cooperation. Japan remains open to various forms of dialogue with China. We have not closed any doors.
To understand why Prime Minister Takaichi's warning resonates across the Indo-Pacific, one must first understand Taiwan's unique geostrategic position. Taiwan is not just an island, it is the hinge of the entire first island chain, the natural defensive wall stretching from Japan's Okinawa Islands down to the northern Philippines. If China were ever to seize Taiwan, it would not simply change the local balance. It would crack open the gateway to the vast Pacific. A PLA-controlled Taiwan allows Chinese naval and air forces to slip between Okinawa and Taiwan into the Philippine Sea, turning a previously contained coastline into a launch pad for blue water power projection. From there, China could extend military pressure deep into the Bashi Channel and Luzon Strait, the Philippines' northern